Have you ever heard the saying, I don't know whether to laugh or cry? Well, I feel like that exact saying sums this situation up to the T. A good few days ago there was an update released that mainly affected the museum, and for the most part the update was pretty good. There was just one main feature that people were unhappy about. Most people had an influx in available bits, how can you complain about that? The museum now compensates you much better for donating, well, harder to get items in the game than easier to get items, which to be honest makes complete sense. Now if I look through the museum rewards, you'll probably see a bit of a difference at the moment. Where's the auction house bid limits gone? Well, they were the main bit of the update that people were unhappy about, and I guess Hypixel listened to everybody, and they reverted the change. But they've still kept auction house bid limits as such, but now they're just nothing to do with the museum. The whole situation is very strange, I can't lie, because the way that it now works also makes little sense, and there's a big issue that we need to talk about that I'll discuss in a little bit. We'll take a look at the patch notes in just a moment. But before we do, at the moment we're actually trying to beat the population of Andorra with subscribers. Andorra's population is roughly around about 80,000, meaning that once we reach 80k subscribers, we're actually going to visit Andorra and we'll be able to claim that we have more subscribers than the population of the country, which would be pretty cool, so make sure to subscribe. Also, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. You should also join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We have for slayers and dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry, make some coins, make sure to join. Now, one of the main arguments against aligning the auction house bid limits with museum progression is basically that you have to start soul binding items to be able to basically bid on anything on the auction house. I think even with milestone 13, I only had a 1 billion coin bid limit, which makes no sense, because should I really be expected to have more items soul bound at level 340? I don't think so. And I know other people that have a lower museum milestone than me that are a higher level. So it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I guess Hypixel have realised that, and that's why it's been changed. And also, it's received a tremendous amount of backlash, and I think for good reason. Like, if we as the players see something that we really don't like about the game, we should definitely voice our opinion. Anyway, let's see what they've changed it to. Now, this update did actually take place about 20 hours ago at this point. So, yeah, I was kind of busy yesterday, but anyway, we're on it now, and hello. We released a few changes to the museum. Auction house bid limits will no longer be tied to the museum progression and are overall increased. So as you can see, you now need to achieve a certain skyblock level to be able to bid on an item above a certain amount of coins. Skyblock level 0 to 24, 1 billion coins. Skyblock level 25 to 49, 5 billion coins. Skyblock level 50 to 99, 10 billion coins. Skyblock level 100 to 199, 25 billion coins. Skyblock level 200 to infinity, 50 billion coins. Okay. Chen's auction unlock has been lowered to milestone 10 instead of 12. That's it for today, enjoy. So it's obviously a very short and sweet patch notes. I'll still leave them in the description if you want to take a look at them. I mean, this is literally it. Now, so I think it's overall good that they've done this, because it made even less sense the way that they had it. Obviously, a lot of people didn't want to just straight up soul bind a load of the net worth, because what if you want to sell stuff in the future? What if the meta changes and the item's not good anymore? I mean, you know what I mean. But we've gone from one extreme to the other. So previously, with the old change, with the old initial change to the museum, you needed museum milestone, I don't even know, I think was it 11 for 1 billion coins, or it was something like that, I might be incorrect. But that was pretty high. You had to donate a lot of stuff. You had to have a decent amount of net worth in the first place, and then have to soul bind it. Which is strange. And now, from the get-go, you can bid up to 1 billion coins. You can be level 0 and bid 1 billion coins. So why don't they just remove the bid limits altogether? Because they're not really doing anything at the moment. Saying you need to be level, like, it just, no, I don't know. I think it's silly. I think they're way too low. If they want to keep bid limits, fine. Just find a different way other than tying them to the museum, because not everybody wants to soulbind stuff. Skyblock levels are fine if you want to do it that way. But at the moment, the thresholds for Skyblock levels are way too low. It's just a bit of a confusing one. I mean, I personally don't think they should have bid limits at all, but if they did want to keep them in the game and actually make them kind of prominent, then what they've done is just basically eradicated them. It's something I can't really wrap my head around. It's almost as if they thought, well, we don't really want these bid limits anymore, but it's going to look stupid if we completely get rid of them. So we'll keep them in the game, but not really make them have much impact. It's just a strange one. But on the whole, I do think it's a good change, because the way that it was previously was just not good at all, realistically. I like how Ironman players have kind of sat through this whole situation unscathed because, well, they can't use the auction house anyway. They're probably just laughing to themselves. Now, there is something that is just, you can't make it up, right? So they released the update. Oh yeah, okay, you've got to now soul bind a load of stuff if you want to be able to bid on stuff on the auction. I'm there thinking, okay, well, I want to be able to play the game. I want to be able to bid on something regardless of the amount of coins. So I'm going to start soul binding a load of stuff. I'm going to spend a bit of money. You know, in fairness, I think I only probably spent like 150 mil in the end, but I also soul bound my Terminator, which is worth 1 billion coins. An item that I wouldn't have soul bound before. Granted, I probably was never going to sell it anyway, so in my situation, it's a little bit redundant. And soul binding 150 mil worth of net worth is, or not net worth, but items that, you know, I've had to buy is not the end of the world. However, I would still prefer to have had that 150 mil in my bank and my Terminator not soul bound in case I did ever want to sell it and buy a different one. And I assume there's probably going to be a lot of people that play the game often that have been massively impacted by the initial change of them having to now soul bound a load of items to be able to bid on items because maybe they went into the museum before, that have now wasted a ton of coins and have wasted a ton of their items on soul binding them. And now they can't get them, you know, they're forever soul bound. And now they've just actually gone, you know what? The change, we don't even want it to be tied to the museum. That's my problem with it at the moment, because I feel sorry for some people, because it would have affected more people. It would have affected some people more than others. Like, if you've already soulbound a load of stuff, then it probably wouldn't have affected you too much. If you were relatively high level and you're not soulbound a lot and you play the game regularly and you buy stuff all the time, then you're a little bit screwed. So you would have had to soulbound a lot of stuff to play the game, and now you're even more screwed because you've got loads of stuff that you soulbound that you didn't want to soulbound, but for no reason, because the change doesn't even affect the museum anymore. It's actually a bit, it's kind of laughable. Because if you don't laugh, you'd probably cry. Well, if you just soulbound a lot of your net worth and then realise you didn't even have to, you know. I asked people in my Discord server what they thought of the whole fiasco, and this is what people have to say. So my question basically was thoughts on Hypixel introducing bid limits, tying them with the museum, and then changing it so they're not tied with the museum and they're tied to Skyblock levels. The first answer that I got was terrible. So yeah, okay, good, because it actually has something to do with progression. Now I agree, but I just think at the moment the way they've tiered the Skyblock levels and how much you can bid just doesn't make sense. Should be higher level for max. I agree. It should be probably a higher level for all of the bid limits if they actually want to tie it to bid limits and actually have an impact. At least they changed it. Could have done the same with the hex though. I never thought about the hex. I think Skyblock players have a habit of, if it doesn't affect you, then the problem doesn't exist. And I feel like this is probably what I've done as well, because the change didn't affect me. I still had the hex, so I'm guessing the hex just hasn't changed in terms of milestones. It's milestone 8. Okay, fair enough. This is actually way better. It's also paired with the trade limit. Now, I didn't know that, and it makes sense if you're looking for a really easy and quick fix just to pair it with the trade limit. I guess it's kind of low risk. But if they actually want it to have an effect, it shouldn't be paired with the trade limit, because the increments are just way too low in terms of Skyblock levels and amounts. Skyblock levels are a way better way to have the bid limits than museum. They didn't really give much incentive to do museum, they just kind of force you to it. I agree, I think Skyblock levels are the way forward. I think Skyblock levels are a way better way to have bid limits be deciphered than museum, so I agree with that, definitely. I'd say the bids are too high for low levels, but fine besides that. Still too easy to rush stuff. I agree again. Yeah. It's just not tiered correctly, and it is very easy to rush stuff. Like, you can literally just spawn in and bid 1 billion coins. I thought the whole point of this system they've introduced was to kind of stop that. But yeah. Finally, a good change. I agree, on the whole, I think it is a good change, because at least we don't have to soulbound, like, our life savings just to bid on the auction house on an item that you want to buy. W Riz Hypixel, I agree. They're kind of teasing us almost. It's like they're just playing around with us, you know? Oh, we're gonna. Oh yeah, soulbind all your stuff. Haha, gotcha. Don't soulbind all your stuff. Smooth with it. Good, but the fact that level 1 can insta-buy hype, if they pay to win, is a bit weird. Yeah, I agree. I think this is the biggest problem. The whole reason for these bid limits is to stop this exact situation, but realistically, if you spawn in and somebody gives you some coins, or you pay to win, you can still buy... You could still go and buy a Terminator. You could still go and buy a Hyperion. Now, it would be a pretty scuffed Hyperion for 1 billion coins, but you could buy a Hyperion. It just defeats the whole point of having these bid limits. It really does. All you have to do is reach level 100 and you can already bid 10 billion coins. Like, for any normal player with normal progression, who is this affecting? Nobody. So just get rid of them, if this is how it's going to be. If not, then these need to be changed. I'd propose that maybe there should be a period where you can only bid 100 million coins, and then 500 million coins, and then maybe go up to 1 billion coins, similarly to how it was kind of spread out prior to this change in the museum. But these levels are just too low. Like level 0 to 24, you can bid 1 billion coins. You can spawn in and bid 1 billion coins. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I don't see the point in a bid limit if this is what it is. And you only have to reach level 200 to be able to bid 50 billion coins. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I think anyway. It's just on the whole, it's a good change because of how bad the previous change was. But the actual change objectively isn't good because it isn't going to affect anything. I just think they might as well either get rid of these bid limits or make them so they actually affect people. Otherwise, there's no point in having them. But not to a point where you have to soulbind your whole entire net worth to be able to bid on a Terminator. Like, we've gone from one end of the spectrum, which was like dictator sort of situation, to the other end of the spectrum, where it's complete anarchy. Like, we've gone from Dante to Derpy. I don't know which mayor is an anarchist. But anyway, that's going to be the end of today's video. Let me know what you think on this whole situation in the comments. It'll be interesting to see. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.